Hello, Joseph V. Casarino here with Proimmune Immune Formulation 200. Proimmune Immune Formulation 200 is a scientific breakthrough of epic proportion discovered by Dr. Albert B. Crumb, a Harvard Medical School graduate and scientist who unraveled the enigma to glutathione synthesis. What that means basically is Dr. Crumb, after many years of research inside Albert Einstein's laboratory at Princeton University, Dr. Crumb figured out how the cells themselves are replenishing glutathione. The reason this scientific breakthrough is so important is because never before has anyone unraveled the enigma to glutathione synthesis and figured out how the cell is making its own glutathione directly inside the cell. That's what Dr. Crumb discovered. And he figured out it's a precise ratio of amino acids. We call it the trinity of amino acids. They comprise of glycine, cysteine, glutamine, and a cofactor of selenium in a precise ratio that when these precursors enter the cell membrane effectively and efficiently, they induce the cell to replenish glutathione exactly as it was intended to be replenished. Why Proimmune is sweeping across the country at record speed in medical centers, physicians' offices, health practices, health food stores, pharmacies. People are loving the product and the mechanisms of action because it's penetrating the cell membrane to reduce the oxidative stress effectively and efficiently. It also is a heavy metal chelation. It chelates heavy metals inside the cells. Proimmune, by replenishing the glutathione as nature intended, also mitigates and reduces microplastics, nanoplastics, all particles of substances that do not belong in the cell. That's what glutathione is doing for people that are already making their own glutathione, like every human does, and every plant and every animal is already making its own glutathione. But the problem we're having today in the year 2024 and 2025 and 2026 coming up, and all the generations that we're living in today, are so toxic that today no one on planet Earth can any longer replenish their glutathione on the levels that are necessary to combat the toxic overload. Basically, we're all being toxified to death, from the air pollution to the chemicals, to the glyphosate, to the nanoplastics, to the aluminum in the rainwater when it rains. A study came out recently that says every raindrop around the world includes aluminum. Most of the foods we're eating in America have heavy metals in them. We eat processed foods. We can't avoid it basically because this is the culture, and it's very difficult to avoid processed foods. We even get them when we eat out. Nonetheless, all this toxic overload is playing havoc on the immune system. And today, most of the most brilliant physicians and pharmacists are now understanding that the root cause to all these chronic illnesses stems from basically the same thing. It's depleted glutathione, it's oxidative stress inside the cell, and it's the toxic overload that cause oxidative stress. Once the cell has that oxidative stress inside the cell, we all know it's called inflammation. Inflammation and these other things that I just mentioned are at the root cause of just about every chronic illness. To me, it's no wonder why Proimmune is helping so many people across the country mitigate so many health conditions that nothing else worked. I have doctors recommending Proimmune that have literally taken patients off medications because they say the medications aren't doing what the Proimmune is doing. By the Proimmune mitigating the oxidative stress, inflammatory load, patients are improving all sorts of chronic conditions. So Proimmune, the science is all in this booklet. This is a 16-page booklet that I compiled that is accessible to you from the GetHealthy.store. And the booklet describes all the science backing Proimmune. Proimmune was backed by $88 million of peer-reviewed science, many scientific research reports by 18 universities proving that Proimmune activates the NRF2 gene to support 250 immune support systems within the cell. Proimmune was deemed as an antiviral by Georgia State Virology Lab that proved Proimmune stops Zika, dengue, and HIV. Proimmune has patents, about 40 throughout the world, actually. One of them is for heavy metal chelation. One of them is to protect against pathogens and viruses. One of them is for an all-natural statin that was approved in 37 countries. 37 countries took 8 years for all those scientists to agree that Proimmune works as an all-natural statin. All the science, all the research is in this booklet proving everything I'm saying, which you will get a copy of if you like, or you can contact me. Info at the Best Immune Support is my email, and I will be happy to send you a copy of this. Most of the information I am discussing is on the website, thebestimmunesupport.com. But by being researched by 18 universities, all these studies proved that Proimmune is superior to NAC, N-acetylcysteine, and the glutathione molecule itself. The glutathione molecule itself that most people are using is a synthetic glutathione. Even liposomal is a synthetic glutathione that is wrapped in a fat soluble that tries to force its way into the cell, but Dr. Crumb discovered when the liposomal forces its way into the cell unnaturally, not as nature designed, but it gets in there, and once it does, Crumb proved it's bypassing the substrate-specific enzymes within the cell, actually putting the cell into disuse. However, many clinicians will see results from liposomal glutathione. They see results because the liposomal glutathione is tricking the cell, and it is acting as though like a steroid. When a steroid is given to a patient, the patient could build muscles, but it's not natural, and the patient pays a price by having those unnatural steroids in the body, and the muscles are blown up and they look like he's healthy, but he's being pumped up with more synthetic drugs, keeping him more inflamed. Liposomal glutathione is very similar. Liposomal glutathione may look like it's providing results, but at what cost? Liposomal is not inducing the cell to replenish its glutathione the way you are doing it right now, the way I am doing it right now, the way it's intended to do. So all these research reports proved that Proimmune is more effective and efficient than glutathione molecules, including liposomal, is more efficient than NAC, N-acetylcysteine, because what Dr. Crumb proved in the pleiotropic paradox patent, actually, which is in this booklet, the pleiotropic paradox proves that the molecule NAC, cysteine, N-acetylcysteine. The N-acetylcysteine is one molecule, but the N-acetylcysteine needs the carrier molecule of the cysteine. That's the paradox. It's in the booklet right here. This is the pleiotropic paradox. You could read it here. It's also on the website, thebestimmunesupport.com. But it is a paradox where most people think that NAC or N-acetylcysteine is doing the same thing as Proimmune, but it's not. N-acetylcysteine is not mitigating the oxidative stress inside the cell as effectively and efficiently. Every research report proved the same thing. N-acetylcysteine is not activating the NRF2 gene. NAC, N-acetylcysteine, is not an antiviral, as was deemed Proimmune is by Georgia State Virology Lab to stop Zika, dengue, and HIV. The list goes on and on. NAC is not chelating heavy metals, neither are glutathione products. But it's not a doctor's fault if they're using these products for years. This is what they're taught. They do work to some degree, but as you know, glutathione products and IVs never penetrate the cell membrane. The glutathione molecule, it's impossible for it to penetrate the cell membrane. It only goes into the bloodstream. This is the genius of this scientific breakthrough. This is why medical centers and physicians and pharmacists across the country are witnessing unprecedented levels of health improvements. Unprecedented. I don't even want to get into what they are. They're too miraculous to believe. It's unbelievable the rates of improvement that doctors are seeing and why they're taking patients off medications. They're switching from NAC or glutathione products and telling their patients to be on Proimmune because it works. And the people behind Proimmune, Dr. Albert B. Crumb and Dr. Edward Ted Fogarty, who brought this into the Federal CARES Act as the only all-natural COVID countermeasure, which was approved by the Federal CARES Act. That's how Dr. Fogarty received funding by a grant to be on radio shows, which we are. We speak about this and we educate the public across the country, thanks to Dr. Edward Ted Fogarty understanding the antiviral research by Georgia State Virology Lab. He also understood the antiviral patent that Dr. Crumb owns for Proimmune. And he brought this to the federal government and said, this will stop COVID dead in its tracks. And they said, we agree, but we're not going to say anything. You can get on the radio and you can educate about it, but we'll give you the grant for that, but that's as far as we'll do. And that's how Dr. Fogarty got on the radio. Dr. Fogarty is one of these like folklore heroes in the Midwest. He's improved more lives around the country than many people could comprehend. He's a man of God that loves people, that speaks truth, that wants to get people healthy with as little toxicity as possible. This is an all-natural formula with no toxicity, natural to the cells, natural to the body. I believe this is why it's working so well to mitigate so many of these chronic conditions. The other thing is Proimmune is used by athletes around America, top athletes. Under non-disclosure, I won't get into names, but many top athletes are using this for traumatic brain injury because when you dose with Proimmune and you take out the oxidative stress directly at time of concussion, according to Dr. Fogarty, this will stop the TBI from occurring within 2 to 3 scoops of you just taking this right after a concussion. They also use it for veterans and athletes that have concussive injuries because by mitigating the oxidative stress, by lowering the oxidative stress, by lowering the inflammation in the cells of the brain, they're seeing miraculous recoveries. They're seeing miraculous recoveries on traumatic brain injury patients by utilizing Proimmune. The list goes on and on. Veterans love it for the same reason, post-traumatic stress disorder. Proimmune helps to mitigate that as well. It's utilized by veterans. It's recommended by HBOT for Heroes in North Carolina. That gives this to every veteran when they're doing HBOT treatment and suggests veterans stay on this because this actually mimics hyperbaric oxygen therapy. Every time you take a scoop of Proimmune, it's like taking 10 minutes of hyperbaric oxygen therapy by its mechanism of action of reducing the oxidative stress, by its mechanism of action of lowering the inflammation, and by its mechanism of action of increasing oxygen inside the cells. Hyperbaric oxygen therapy, Dr. Fogarty taught me, is the purpose of hyperbaric oxygen therapy is to increase glutathione in the cells. The purpose of glutathione is to increase the oxygen in the cells. It's like the two of them, Dr. Crumb says, are a marriage made in heaven. That's why many hyperbaric oxygen centers today are recommending Proimmune for that reason and for another reason. When they're doing hyperbaric oxygen therapy treatments, increases of oxygen cause waste byproducts in the cell and cause toxicity. Proimmune mitigates the waste byproducts of the increase of oxygen. So many hyperbaric oxygen centers are using this. If any doctor or physician or clinician would like to speak to some of the experts that know more about that, I could put them in touch with the doctors that are doing HBOT and specializing in Proimmune and hyperbaric oxygen therapy treatments. These are the leaders in hyperbaric oxygen therapy. Dr. Fogarty is beloved around America by many, many physicians because, as I said, he's a man of God, he's a man of truth. He's one of these brilliant genius physicians. He's a radiologist, he's a sports medicine physician, he's a chemist, he's a biologist. He comprehends it, as do many of the other physicians that I work with that understand Proimmune. The people that recommend Proimmune are some of the most brilliant physicians in America, and some of the most brilliant pharmacists in America that get it. They comprehend it. They dig deep. They read the science. They take the time, and the aha moment goes off, and they say, "Oh, I get it. This is superior to NAC. This is superior to glutathione molecule." As the great Dr. Judy Mikovits says, when she recommends this as a must-have, she tells everybody on the planet, everybody in America must be on this product to mitigate the glyphosate, to mitigate the mycoplastics. Dr. Judy says this is a must-have, something that every person should be taking, because Dr. Judy says you can't make glutathione. You can't take glutathione. You have to make it. There's no glutathione that you could take that's going to effectively penetrate the cell membrane effectively and efficiently. Glutathione synthesis is done the way nature intended it to do, where the cell makes the glutathione itself. That's the miracle of this scientific breakthrough. That's why it works. And we highly recommend, and again, as Dr. Judy Mikovits says, we're not trying to sell anything to anybody. We're trying to educate. Nobody involved with Proimmune, believe it or not, are here to make money. Everyone that is involved with Proimmune, from Dr. Albert B. Crumb to Dr. Edward Ted Fogarty to myself, Joseph E. Casarino, we are all out here educating because this product works. Most of the money that is earned from this goes to the patents, goes to protecting the patents, goes to research, to further research, and we donate. Most of what we earn in profits goes back to free jars to veterans organizations, to pro bono health clinics that are helping people with Proimmune and giving this to patients that can't afford any treatment, that have no money to pay for medical treatment. So this is not about money to us. This is about getting people healthy, because we are living in chronic illnesses. We are living in epidemics that we've never experienced on this planet before. Chronic illnesses are epidemic. Children, 12, 13, 14-year-olds have diabetes, have attention deficit disorder, have chronic illnesses from breathing to lung to, the list goes on, as Children's Health Defense points out, Bobby Kennedy's entity, Children's Health Defense. You'll see the statistics on my website. I put them there for a reason, because you want to cry when you read them. These are your children. These are your grandchildren. And we all scratch our heads wondering, well, gee, why do they have autism? Why do they have a attention deficit disorder? Why this? Why that? We are poisoning the children with toxicity, and nothing takes the toxins out better than Proimmune. The 3 amino acids that induce the cells to replenish the glutathione directly inside the cell, to give the children and the grandchildren the best chance of mitigating toxicity, reducing the oxidative stress, lowering the inflammatory markers and the inflammation, so these illnesses don't even occur. That's what this product does, believe it or not. It sounds too good to be true, but it is true. We can mitigate these chronic illnesses with 2 things, in my opinion: hyperbaric oxygen therapy or Proimmune. And by the way, it's not just my opinion. Dr. Edward Ted Fogarty says it, Dr. David Hartsuch says it, Dr. Judy Mikovits says it, Dr. Lee Merritt says it. All these brilliant physicians that have backgrounds in chemistry and biology, that understand the science of what's going on. So much has been suppressed over the years. It's been suppressed that you could improve health all naturally, but a lot of mainstream doctors are not talking about this because we're not taught this way. We are taught to treat with more toxic drugs that cause more inflammation, and it's a loop of kind of keeping people sick. So we speak from the heart. We speak truth. We're here to educate. If you want to dig deep, all the information is on my website, thebestimmunesupport.com. In full disclosure, I want to say, I'm not an MD. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a physician or a doctor or a PhD. I was appointed by Dr. Crumb based on my background and my ability, and he handpicked me to be his advisor and to introduce Proimmune around the country. I actually came out of retirement to do so. I don't do it for the money, but in full disclosure, I want to put the disclaimer that because I'm not a doctor, as you know, as a clinician, as a dietary supplement, I am not allowed to say Proimmune is going to treat, cure, or prevent anything. FDA rules and regulations restrict me or anybody that has a dietary supplement from making that claim. So no, we're not making a claim. I'm not making a claim this is going to treat, cure, or prevent anything. I'm making the claim that this is an all-natural product following the principles of nature and the examples of the universe that created glutathione inside the single cell 3.5 billion years ago. The single cell created glutathione within itself to take away pathogens and viruses on purpose, or else that single cell never would have evolved. We would not be here as humans today. If you follow the science, if you follow nature, that's what Proimmune is doing. That's what I'm trying to teach. That's what I'm trying to advocate. That's what I'm trying to say. Nature can help you improve your health. Proimmune is based on nature. Proimmune is all natural. So it's nature that's going to improve your health. Not any drug, not any dietary supplement. That's not what I'm saying is going to do it. All this is doing, it's very simple, basically. It's following the principles of nature. Trust it. Trust nature. Try it. Put some of your patients on it. Track them for 3 or 4 months. Watch their cholesterol levels come down. Watch their triglycerides come down. Watch their cognitive behavior improve by taking Proimmune. It works. God bless you. Thank you for listening. I'm Joseph V. Casarino. My phone number, if anybody wants to contact me, is 845-206-8104. I'm a guest speaker on several radio shows every week with doctors for the past couple of years now. And I give my phone number on radio shows and I talk to people. I'm accessible. I love people. I love God. I love humanity. And I want to get everyone healthy. Seniors, children, people my age. I'm 68 years old, running around like I'm 38. But I want to get people healthy, because if we don't address the root causes now, this is the turning point. This is the time to get healthy. This is the time to speak truth. This is the time to go back to nature. And you could also find my website and contact information at the bottom of the screen. Thank you very much. God bless.